Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Solana. This is going to be a lower time frame video. We do have a higher time frame video which can be found up above here, so check that out if that's more what you're interested in. Okay, so let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so with the rest of crypto here, we have had a sell-off to the downside. Now, we were talking about the potential of looking to come back down here anyway, because we were looking for the potential to actually retest this target box. Now, we need to have a look at the internals here, because there's two options. What we could argue is there is a bullish case where we could still be looking for a move to the upside, or alternatively, we could look to be directly breaking down. Okay, so we're going to go over that potential bullish case here. Okay, so now we've been talking about the possibility here of having this as an A, a B, and a C. So the support box range that we were talking about was actually between this 1690 all the way down to this 1033. So technically speaking, until we actually take this low of the 797, we can still have potential for a reversal here. So we're going to go over how we could count this as a corrective move, and then we'd still be looking for that possibility of actually having a bigger C wave to the upside. Now this target has actually come down, so we have to adjust this. So this could mean that we could still actually see a C wave up here towards this $43 region, which would look to potentially take this high here towards this 38.84. So I would be keeping an eye on that if we do actually get this move to the upside. Now we need to be aware, until we actually take this high here of this 22.35, we could actually continue to see a breakdown here. So if we want to talk about the possibility of how this could actually still be a corrective structure here, what we would have to say is that we'd be looking at this as a W, an X, and a Y. Now I'm going to remove this count for a second, and what we'd actually be looking at here is that we have this as a W here, this is an X wave to the upside, and we'll be treating this as a diagonal for an A, this is a B, and then actually looking for this C wave to the downside. Now, we were talking about this possibility in the last video. We had a couple of alternatives that we were looking for here, looking for this possibility that we could see a break to the downside, and we were talking about coming down to this 1-to-1, but we actually came down more towards this 1.618. So what I'm looking for now is the fact that within this count we could just have this as A, B, and C. Now this C wave might not be completed yet. We did come down to this 1.618 of this move here as an A wave, so we need to be cautious, because if we do see an additional fourth wave here, this could actually mean that we have a 5-wave move here. Now technically, as long as this actually remains above this low point, this could actually just be A, B, and C. So as long as we hold this low and we actually look to maintain the support box of this 1033, we can actually look for that potential for a reversal, even if we do get a 5-wave move down here, where this could then just be A, B, and then we'd have a bigger C wave here. So we need to just be on the lookout for that. Typically speaking though, regular flats don't tend to push as deep as the 1.618, but we'll have to see how the waves actually play out. Now another area we're talking about that was quite interesting here is we were talking about this possibility of coming back into this trend line here and this 0.618. So we just missed out on touching this. There is always a potential we could come back down into this. And another thing that was quite interesting is in the higher time frame video, we were discussing the potential of actually looking to come back down into this ascending line from further back here as a speed fan, and yeah, we came back into it. So that was quite an interesting level. So now if we are looking at this as a move to the downside as a 5-wave move, this means that we could actually still have some legs inside this. So we're going to go over the internals of this drop now. Now what I'm looking for within this is that potentially we could actually still see some downside here, where this is a 1-2, this is a 1-2 here, and then effectively we're looking for this as a 3rd, 4th, and a 5th. Now if we fail to break above this 1574, this will be my primary count, where I'm still looking for that possibility of an additional 5th wave to the downside towards this 1229, and then looking for an additional 4th and a 5th. If we start to move above this 1574 region and start to actually consolidate above this level, it becomes less likely, and invalidation would come by actually crossing this 1828 level. So if we do see price continue to fall off here, potentially this could mean we see a push down towards this 1143 to this 1057. Now if we turn back on that target for that Y wave, I'd be keeping an eye on this 1132 as a 1.618 of this is a Y wave if we do look to actually continue down. Now that would be a possible turning point, and it would also look to bring us back into the lower end of that target, which would be towards the 702 and the 786. So that would be quite an interesting zone to keep an eye on if we do actually look to push down here. Now if we are looking at the bearish alternative, what this could actually mean is that we see price come down much deeper. Now what we would be looking for within this is that either we could treat this as a 1, 2 as a diagonal, where we have this as a bigger third, fourth, and a fifth, in which case, you know, possibly we're still extending out in this third wave. So I've just put this third wave here for now in case we get a bigger structure. Now, the key thing here is going to be the relationship to this wave. If we see a much more sideways move that takes a bit longer to play out, something in relation to this, then we could argue that this third wave could potentially already be completed here. Until we do, and until we actually start to break some of these highs here towards this 1936, I will still be looking primarily for that possibility that there is that extension, like I said. Now, alternatively, within this, what we could say is that we could actually see a 1 and a 2 up here and an additional 1 and a 2. So because of how sort of choppy this upside move is here, we could also argue that this is one with a flat, and then we have a diagonal pattern over here. So if this is the case, this would be an expanding diagonal, and then what we'd be looking for is this is a wave 2. Now, this is not as common looking at this diagonal in this way, because the expanding diagonal is not as common as the contracting diagonal. Now, if we do have this as a wave 2, this would actually mean that we still have a series of structures to follow out here. Now, I've marked this 2.618 at this 1172 as a possible endpoint. Now, this is quite interesting because if we overlay that extension count now, we can see that the 1143 and this 1057 is not far off of this 2.618. So if we either don't see price move up its high and or the waves fall slightly shorter, what we could see is a retest of this 2618. In this case, what we'd be looking for, if that does play out, is the continuation to the downside, an additional fourth and a fifth, and then we'd be looking for an additional fourth and a fifth. Now, this last fourth and fifth, it depends how high we actually come here, but potentially we could actually see this push down into this zone of this $9.83 to this $8.65. So the key thing I'm going to be monitoring with this is the previous wave 2. So if we do get 2 more wave 2s that align with this size, then we could argue that this is completed. So this is why it's going to be important. If we do see price reverse to the upside here and cross this 1875, then these bearish scenarios become less likely. Although really, until we actually take this high, we can't rule out the idea that this could actually become another 1-2, and then we see a bigger break to the downside. Another couple of things that we discussed within the macro video was the potential of actually looking to come back and retest this point of control that is over here. So we have actually retested this and we are above it at the moment. Doesn't mean that we have to stay there. If we do actually look to fall lower, I would be keeping an eye on this 1157 as a retest of this value area low as well. So that would be quite an interesting area if we do look to push down. Alternatively, like we discussed in the macro, if we do see price actually find support here, what we could actually see is it push up into some of these previous range value area lows towards this 30 cent 43, this 32 cent 95 as a point of control, and the 40 cent 13. $40.13. Now, as well as that, if it does look to push up higher, we do have this value area high sitting at this 48.10. So we'd keep an eye on those levels. Looking at the weekly CPRs, we can see here that we've actually broken down through these levels, and we were discussing this when we were higher up here, talking about that possibility of moving down towards this R3 line. So we did move down there, and then we actually rejected to the downside here. Now, once again, these are going to be important levels if we do move to the upside. This 1861, 1941, 2064, and as well as that, these central pivot points here between this 2166 to this 2126. So if we do just see three-wave structure back to the upside, I would be cautious around these levels. We could actually see price react to them. As well as that, if I turn on the monthly pivots here, what we can see is that we have actually reached the target of this R3 already, which is sitting here towards this 1409. So because of the fact we've come down here, once again, we need to be aware there is the potential that we could start to find resistance on this 1642, this 1864, and this higher range of this $20.81 to this $21 region. Now, if we do actually see price manage to break back to the upside here, this could actually then tie into the idea of actually coming back into these higher CPRs, which are sitting towards this 23.14, this 25.44, and this higher 1 year of this 27.75. So I would be keeping an eye on these levels. We can see that the central CPR lines are tightly spread here, so this is indicative of volatility. So that means that this month we could see a lot of volatility, so just keep an eye on these levels. So the key takeaway here is looking at these different counts here, we need to be aware that that bearish possibility is still valid, but at the moment we don't have the complete structures until we do actually develop these additional fourth and fifth waves to the downside, and then actually see the bigger fourth and fifth waves. This move can always just be corrective, even if we do come down to that 1618 target. And an interesting thing here is if we actually have a look at this on the linear scale, what we can see is that we didn't even reach that 1.6 of this as an A wave. So this is an important difference here. We could actually still see price even move down towards this 1060 at a 1.618, and that could still allow for this fact of this to be a Y wave. So until we actually get the additional waves to the downside, you know, we can't really rule out the fact that we have a bearish move here, but we also need to just be aware that at the moment there is just 3 waves. Even if we do get a fourth and a fifth and a fourth and a fifth, what we want to see is that confirmation of something in relation to this to the upside as a fourth, and then looking for that fifth. Until we actually get that, we could either just see price continue to break down and extend out, or alternatively we could even just see price actually look to reverse to the upside, take out these lows, and that would then look for that bullish potential. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Everyone have a great day. See you in the next one. Take care.